Oh man, where would you like me to start, my brother?
Wherever you want to start. The beginning.
Well, you know, I love the Bay Area. I love Oakland. Many folks know that I'm not from here originally, although it feels like I am. You
Where
know,
are you originally from?
originally from Southern California, Santa Ana in particular was where I was born and spent the first, formative years of my life. Then I moved out towards Riverside. Um, after it's a spot called Murrieta, very suburban kind of life. It was like no houses was out there when we moved out there. My brothers were heavily involved in just drug dealing and gang activity, growing up. So mom just wanted to get us out. I was the youngest. And that was the decision they made. And, for better or for worse, that place definitely shaped who I am. Drop yourself in the middle of nowhere with no one to relate to, you're going to find out who you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Let me just say that. So I think a lot of that has to do with even my admiration for nature to this day, and just, knowing the healing, you know what I'm saying? And just being out in the world, being out in natural settings. I moved out here in early 2000s. I want to say 2000 period, with my man Jern. I came out here about 3 months earlier. So I was in a group called Lunar Heights. We're actually reforming and starting to do shows again. Got another album dropping called God Particle at the end of this month, or excuse me, end of this year. Mm-hmm. And, we just need LA started to get too spread out. You know what I mean? As far as us being able to connect. So we decided to move to the Bay Area and get it popping. And in 2003, we dropped our first project called The Crescent Moon. Mm-hmm. But during this time, it's funny. I ran into a close brother friend of mine named Brother Harambe, and randomly met him at a BART station. And pretty much he introduced me to, the work I'm doing now and have been doing for the past 20 years, which is just working in community. And, through Bathsheba, I met his wife, through Harambe, I met his wife, Bathsheba. And ever since then, it's just been, been on and popping. This liberation work, as far as just working with youth, creating experiences, has transformed lives with my wife through our organization, Spirit Works. And, like I say, that's the short end of it, brother. And I could definitely give some more specifics, but that's pretty much how I arrived here.
So talk about Spirit Works. What is Spirit Works?
Spirit Works is an organization I started with my wife back in 2004. And it actually started as a homeschool. We had about 7 children in our house. And, we had small children, and we weren't really thinking about public school, and private education was too expensive at the time. So we decided to move towards a more entrepreneurial route. And, we always knew that, like you say, once again, just the liberation of Black people was always at the forefront of the work that we did. We wanted to see our people thrive. We wanted to see our people well. We wanted to see our people shift their own narratives and, build agency within themselves to live the lives that they wanted. So, over the years, we transitioned. The homeschool was no longer sustainable, primarily because of the private tuition. We were charging like maybe, $400, for like 8-hour days. That's unheard of. You know what I mean? That's just unheard of. Even our elders were saying that was silly. A lot of these daycare facilities be $1,500 and up, and not even giving half of what we were given. So, you live and you learn. We transitioned from there into doing a lot of work in OUSD, Oakland Unified School District, and the program that I ran was called Brothers Keeper, where we were pretty much taking quote unquote at risk youth, the language they use.
Right.
And was just really working with folks, But a lot of that came from the foundation that I gained through Camp Akili, which was a camp started by Sean and Nedra Jenwright. And it was a leadership camp. It was a thinking camp. I ended up attending this camp when I was 13. And ironically, when I moved to the Bay, within that first year of moving to the Bay, I linked back up with this organization, and we were doing camps with the young black race and unpacking issues of violence in their communities. And, you know, by the end of that camp, no doubt, not only were the youth experiencing transformation, also the counselors and everybody involved. So, you know, really Spirit Works just came from a deep-rooted love of African people and the possibilities of us thriving.
So along that journey, where is Spirit Works 2021?
Well, 2021, like I say, we realize that really we are what you call space creators. You know, I think over time we kind of just narrowed it down from creating a school to creating camps to creating curriculum. At the core of what we do is we create spaces and opportunities for people to experience transformation, as we like to say, because that experiential learning we know is just so crucial for our people, and at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we've done many things. Like currently we are developing a retreat center out in Mount Shasta. We was able to acquire some land, and, you know, over the years, we just been going to different camps, different places, and we would always pay people. And what we realized is for these spaces and these facilities, we've never really seen a Black-owned retreat center here in California. Through our research, I think we found one more kind of more towards Southern Cali, Central Valley area. But in the Bay Area in Northern California, we haven't really found an all-Black retreat center, mm-hmm. Black-owned, Black-operated. So that's kind of like our next endeavor that we're kind of moving towards. But I say our flagship program is probably the Experience Sankofa project.
Yes.
And that is pretty much a living museum of you know, African history. And it's just one story, you know what I mean? I don't, we have so many woke people out here right now that I don't really have time for debates. And, you know, whether the Middle Passage happened or not, whether we were born here in the States or not, really doesn't matter, because this is just one story. This is just one person's perspective. And it's a very popular narrative that, quite frankly, Americans, Black Americans, need some unpacking. We still got some unpacking. We still got some residue from hearing this story for so long.
Right. Now, when you say living museum, brother, what do you mean by living museum?
We actually have activators, you know, so it's the timeline, it's actual sets built, you know, from the floor changing, you know, as you're walking through time. Like you might start in antiquity, you know, with the original woman, and, you know, you're seeing her with her child, and, you know, you're feeling sand under your feet. Then you move, you know, down the timeline, you're going to end up in Kemet, right? You know, in a stone temple, you know what I mean? And you're feeling stones on your feet. You're seeing a brother meditating in there. You know, moving down the timeline to the marketplace, all the way through to the Middle Passage, all the way. I think the dope part about this museum is it's all the way to present day Oakland. Like we could have went anywhere, but we chose to follow the timeline, starting in Oakland from like really the 1920s to present day, and everything that was happening out here, you know, from the canneries. I mean, I got to shout you out, because I know me and you was going a lot of, you know, back and forth around just information that needs to be in, pointing information that was happening here in Oakland that, you know, really wasn't talked about. Like you say, just the poignancy of the East Bay Dragons, right? Right? And just, you know, some of these other organizations that's just been here, you know, thriving and ain't going nowhere. So, you know, shouts out to the Dragons, shouts out to, you know, the Panthers, of course, shouts out to, you know, Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, brother. Icons, man. Icons. Oakland produces Black icons.
So, you know, giving thanks for that, man. But yeah, really it's an experience, and, you know, definitely should share the promo video and the link, you know, so people can kind of, you know, get a taste of what's happening. But, you know, it's probably about a 30-person production. So as you walk through the program, the timeline, you can see about 30 people. You know, my wife and I were, you know, Mizan was definitely lead artist, you know, building most of the sets. I was definitely just in there building, you know, following her lead, out of my little flavor where I could. Brother Sean, DJ Rebellion, was also an artist. Brother Bonk, Sister the Queen, and John Kufu, also known as Chemist, was very influential in getting everything together as far as the sets. And just some phenomenal activators, from Jay Braggs to Venus to my brother Sid, Trap Nature. Folks just really embodied the emotions of that time.
Absolutely. And where is this installation located?
Oh, it's at Eastmont Mall. It's funny. We got a home at Eastmont Mall for the next 3 years. We opened 2 weeks before the COVID shutdown. So, I think we probably had about 4 shows. We probably hit about maybe 200 or 300 people. So we were just getting started. And it was just a blessing to just have it at Eastmont, a real Sankofa, you know what I'm saying? Trying to bring some water to a place that seems like it's been in a drought for a very long time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Going back to your name is Sizwe, brother. You took a trip back to South Africa a couple of years ago. Can you give us a little bit of insight to your name, what you found out about your name?
Well, yeah, it's funny in South, and my name is pronounced Sizwe, and that's just kind of how I've been pronouncing it all my life. That's how my parents, influenced me to say it. On the continent, it's pronounced Sizwe, and Sizwe literally translates to nation, and it's the land. It's some of the original land and nation of the Xhosa people, and Sizwe, Kanto de Sizwe, Spirit of the Nation, which is my MC moniker. It's kind of what I've been rocking with for a very long time. Actually was the military wing fighting against some of the apartheid in South Africa at the time. So, that's really more so what I grew up knowing. That's what my parents, that's what the nurse, because the nurse was from South Africa. So when I was whatever, being born, when my mother was delivering me, the nurse that was helping and assisting my mother was from South Africa and suggested some names. And that was the name that stuck. They looked at me and said, this brother's going to be a nation builder. There's a spirit about him, this collective spirit. And, ironically, just through the work and through the music, I feel like, there's a lot in the name. There's a lot in the name, man. So just giving thanks.
Why is travel important to you? A common theme, and it's funny, all of the interviews that I've done thus far, a lot of folks that I talk to travel, and they talk about these transformative experiences. What was your experience like in South Africa and where you've traveled? You can, tell us about some other places you've been. Why do you feel like travel is important and seeing different spaces and seeing different people?
I think travel is important because it takes you out of the book and it takes you into the real. You know what I mean? I can study and read about things a lot, but when you feel the culture, see the people, hear the language, feel the energy, it's just a different experience. Like, out here growing up, you may think there's no Black people in Europe. There's hella Black people in Europe, hella Africans in Europe, just everywhere when you look around. But, without traveling, I wouldn't have thought of that. And then on the flip side, just how many Europeans are in South Africa kind of blew my mind. Like I'm just thinking Africa. I'm just thinking Africa, Not so much the influence of the Afrikaan and just all of that happening in South Africa. That was pretty deep, especially juxtaposed to Ghana, and when I went to Ghana and just my experiences and time out there. But I've been able to travel just through the music. I've been able to travel to France, Camden, which is in London, South Africa, West Africa. Still trying to get out to, Asia, Philippines. I would like to check Japan out, just on the culture tip, as well as the East. I want, definitely want to travel all throughout the continent. Ironically, man, I'm gonna go to some of these energy centers on the planet. Like, what does peace really feel like? You know, in some of these spots where folks are just meditating all day and shit. You know what I mean? What's that like? Just beauty, you know? But I think traveling, and I think whether folks want to believe it or not, when you're at home, you know, you create this vortex of sorts, and it's just this routine. I think travel helps you break your routine. It helps you dig deeper into who you are. You know, I know for many brothers in the States, a lot of your quota, you know, you don't want to be American, but a lot of your American comes out. You know what I'm saying? When you start traveling, especially to, like, you know, the continent. I remember we was ordering some food in Ghana, and it didn't come as fast as McDonald's. And, you know, I know the group we were traveling with, there was some little frustration, you know, not realizing that the food is fresh, the food is being cooked right there. You know, just the give and take, energy exchange, just even the fact that around the world, you know, many folks slow down. They actually slow down. It's not about just a transaction. Like, our meals even become a transaction, you know.
In doing spirit works, what have been some of the obstacles in working with community? You know, what I call community versus community.
I think for us, some of the obstacles have been resources, you know, knowing that, you know, we love the work, but there does come a certain time where, you know, life is real. Bills have to be paid, things of that nature. So I think sometimes we approach this work from survival. And I think that energy spills out over into kind of how we operate and deal with each other. You know, that's been one thing. And, you know, just also recognizing that we don't have a lot of time, true, but there's also patience. Like, you just can't go through one workshop and now you're ready to lead the charge. I think there's some trial and error when it comes to, you know, space holding, things of that nature. And, you know, I don't know. It's an interesting time we're living in right now. That's kind of what I'll say, just as far as this information age and how we acquire information. And, you know,
is it information, brother, or are we in formation? Is that the goal? To put folks in formation? That's my latest epiphany right now.
Nah, I feel you on that. I mean, I do think it's a TikTok and all of these places have a way of making a universal mind. And sure, it could be a part of information if everyone's influenced by the same things. We're influenced by the same music, same dress code, same, you know, and then looking for approval, you know, through that machine. You know, so I think, you know, right now, I think the biggest thing in community is, I think my wife and I are just looking at work ethic and just knowing that I think each year the elders, you know, I don't consider myself an elder, but I'm approaching that. You know, I feel like we're getting physically softer and physically. And what I mean by that is once we become more comfortable and dependent, there's certain things we don't have to do. I remember, you know, you ever shake an elder's hand, be like 80 years old, that brother's hand feel like a brick.
Yeah, brother.
What that brother been doing, man? You know, 80 years old, 90 years old, this man's hand is like stone. And yes, our elders worked hard and some of the work they did was unnecessary, but I also know they were just connected, you know, connected to the earth, growing your own food. You know, put me under the hood of a car, brother, I'm lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just some certain basic things that I just feel we've lost, and I just feel over time we continue to lose. So one thing is work ethic and what am I gonna say? Not so much diligence, but just that follow through. Right. You know what I mean? Like, everything isn't gonna be just easy. Everything isn't gonna be I get to flip money on stocks and it's gonna live my dream life. Like, I think that's one thing and advice I would give to the young people and anyone out there is I'm not going to say work hard as a turnoff, but you're going to have to work passionately. What is it that you love? What is it that you like to do? And you're going to have to put in the time
And
to
intention is
get there.
big, brother. What is
Yeah,
your intention? I think that's something that's getting lost in translation as well. You're doing it for, and then like kind of fill in the blank.
right.
What's the intent behind it? What is it rooted in? So all of this that we've talked about, brother, Spirit Works, Lunar Heights, all of these projects, how do you balance your family versus career versus community?
Oh, man.
How and where do you find that balance? Do you ever find that balance? Is it ever truly balanced off? How do you juggle those three areas of your life?
I would say I find the balance to the best of my ability. And I know it's vague, but, I think we're always striving for that balance because it's been hard. You know what I'm saying? It's been hard. I've looked up and, wondering why my children's grades ain't where they need to be. Oh, that's because of me. That's because I ain't putting my time in where it need to be. So I would shift that, and then something else would shift, and then I would shift that, and something else would shift. So I feel like we're doing a great job, and I do feel like in 2021, and just kind of where I'm at in my life now at 42, I'm just claiming space now. You know what I mean? That's one thing that's been difficult for me to do. Just because you feel like it's not yours to take because there's so many other needs before yours.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just really claiming space now. I would say that's kind of where I'm at with it. You know what I'm saying? That's all we can do.
So
because no one's gonna give it to us. No one's gonna tell you. My elder told me no one's gonna tell you to stop giving.
Right. So along those lines, brother, what do you do for self-care? What gives Sizwe joy?
Well, man, it's funny. That's what I'm working out now. I'm at a life. I'm reevaluating all of that. But I know it has to do hiking in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
having a set routine that's just for me. You know what I mean? You got to get up. So that's me. So I'm early rise, probably in the woods, walking the dogs. And during that time, I might be listening to some music, getting the thoughts ready for the next project or just the next venue. That's like my meditation time. And then just really, honestly, man, just being on the land.
Mm-hmm.
My self-care right now is just really being out the way and saying no. You know what I mean? Learning how to just say no to certain things. And like I say, the music is just back to that. It's just really back to that. That's my gift. That's, I got something to say. That's what I realized. You know what I'm saying? There's some vibration I need to put out in the universe. And that's what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Just giving thanks though. I think food, diet is important. Like when my diet is off, everything else is off. So,
Speaking of music, brother, you may recognize this right here.
Oh, wow.
Early Lunar Heights, man. Not many of these. I'm so happy to have this in my possession, man. What was one of the first song titles and what was it about that you remember writing? Your first rap, do you remember?
My very first rap.
Yep, not word. It don't have to be word for word, but like, what do you remember about, or you might remember it. I know some MCs that do. Like, what was the title or what was the content? What were you talking about?
I was talking about dogs.
Mm.
Can't tell you how old I was, but it is recorded. It's recorded somewhere. And I was freestyling. And I was my lady and my Mercedes. I know I was rhyming lady and Mercedes, sneaky as a mouse. And then there was this other song I did called Dogs. And it was, dogs are stupid, dogs are dumb. All they like to do is boo-boo on your lawn. That's all I remember. I was obviously like 7 years old, some old crazy shit like that. But really writing my first songs, I remember when I really got in serious was Kool Mo D, Biz Markie, LL, Kane, Juice Crew. Like around that time when all that shit, when Biz dropped Make the Music, you know what I mean? Rest in peace, Biz.
Yes.
I know Rock the Bells. You know, even some of them Beastie Boy joints back in the day. Like Def Jam was popping, you know. And of course, you know, when NWA dropped Eazy-E. But Kool Mo D, I remember writing How You Like Me Now word for word and walking through the house like I was Kool Mo D. And, you know, Wild Wild West was also popping too. But yeah, just that's when I knew this was something that I wanted to do. You know, Public Enemy, Bring the Noise. And what was it? Not Bring the Noise. It was Bring That Beat Back. Yo, bring that beat back. Yes. Rebel Without a Pause.
Yes, sir.
Rebel Without a Pause. That's what it was.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So what are some upcoming projects that you have coming up?
Well, like I said, we got the God Particle dropping, probably looking at maybe October, November. That's the next Lunar Heights project. The Sankofa project is actually going to be in the Oakland Museum. It's going to be screening there. We did a digital version of it. So we had somebody walk through and do like a 4K quality kind of POV of the museum. So that's going to be screening at Oakland Museum starting August 6th. And yeah, man, like I said, we got this music festival coming up.
Absolutely,
so folks
brother.
in the area. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. September 18th. Come on out. We got MC Supernatural, got 3/4 of the Far Side, my brother's Flip Side coming out. Lunar Heights will be performing, Ocean Femi, Jane Hancock. It's gonna be popping, man. It's gonna A+, you know, hieroglyphics. It's gonna be a beautiful wellness activation is what we like calling it, because it's gonna be different vendors out there that are just really gonna be not only offering items but resources for the people. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the whole concept is my health is my wealth. It's a mushroom music festival. So it's the first of its kind. We're doing it right here in East Oakland. And man.
And what's the date again? August 18th?
September 18th.
September 18th. September 18th.
Yep.
And are there tickets to be purchased? How do folks?
Oh, that's the beautiful part, man. It's free. It's gonna be at Liberation. Yeah, it's free, man. It's gonna be at Liberation Park in East Oakland, right over there by the McDonald's, right over there by Eastmont. I don't got the exact address in my head, but it's right there on the corner of Foothill and 73rd.
Okay. Well, Brother Sizwe, I appreciate you for taking the time, man, to be on here with your brother. You already know what it is over here. You stay in the mix. You're a definite pillar out here and have been for a minute, and I appreciate and have always appreciated your genuineness, man.
Well, hey, brother, I appreciate you, King, and, you know, much success with the podcast, and let's just keep grinding, manifest it. That 45, bro. That's crazy that you got that 45. Man.
Had to pull the relic out, brother. Had to pull the relic out. Lunar Heights.